The liver is considered to be one of the most vital organs in the body. Some refer to it as the general of the body, the factory of the body, and some even call it the grand central station of the body. But with all of these nicknames, what does the liver actually do, and what is the purpose of the liver? Well, coming up in this video, we're going to discuss some of the major and critical functions of the liver, and then I'm going to wrap it up by giving you 3 tips to maintain and improve the health of your liver. Stay tuned. What's going on, family? This is Edward Williams, licensed physician assistant, founder and creator of Health by Any Means Necessary, and I want to welcome you back to our channel where we discuss practical information for all things Black health improvement, fasting, and insulin resistance. So if you're new around here, go ahead, click the subscribe button, turn on the notifications. That way you can be alerted anytime we go live. All right, so let's get into this. So in this video, we're going to cover 3 main areas. First, we're going to talk about the purpose and the many functions of the liver. Now, this is important because if you don't know its purpose and proper function, you're more likely to misuse it, abuse it, and take it for granted. But I think that once you see just how incredible the liver is, how hard it's working for you, and just how fortunate you are to have one, you'll be more likely to be kinder to it. Next, we're going to cover things that hurt and decrease the function of your liver. Now, this is going to be important because once you're able to identify the things that are hurting your hardworking liver, you will now be able to make a decision as a responsible adult if you're going to do better since you know better, or if you're going to continue the assault on your liver. Now, if you continually do the things that you know are damaging your liver, you can't be confused about what happens once the liver gets damaged, and you can't be upset with the results. And then lastly, we're going to wrap it up with covering some practical and sustainable tips on how you can improve your liver health today. All right, let's get into it. The liver. The liver is an organ that sits in the upper right quadrant of your abdominal cavity. It is the largest solid organ in your body. It has a reddish brown color to it. It also has a triangular shape to it, has a rubbery feel to touch, and it weighs about 3 pounds. Now, before we get into the detailed functions of the liver, I'm going to break these down into 6 different functions. First, we have the filtration and storage of blood, metabolism, detoxification, bowel formation, storage, and regeneration. All right, number 1, filtration and storage of blood. So the liver has 2 sources of blood flow. The first source is coming from the portal vein. The portal vein is the blood coming from the GI tract, also known as the gastrointestinal tract. So this includes blood that is coming from the stomach, the intestines, and the colon. The blood coming from the portal vein is usually about 1,000 milliliters. And then you have the hepatic artery, which has oxygenated blood. The blood coming from the hepatic artery is about 300 milliliters of blood. Both sources of blood will be draining into something called the liver lobule. This lobule is going to perform multiple functions that we'll get back to later on. But for the purpose of covering the first point, it's going to serve as a filtration system, and it will determine what gets through and what gets discarded. Also, as a part of the immune system, this liver lobule will filter up to 99% of the bacteria found in the blood. Now, as far as blood storage goes, in abnormal situations where there is a slowdown or a backup of blood flow, such as congestive heart failure, the liver has the ability to store up to 1 liter of blood. The next function of the liver we're going to talk about is metabolism. So when we're talking about metabolism, we're talking about the uptake, processing, and distribution of nutrients. In this case, we're talking about the macronutrients. Now, for macronutrients, we have protein, carbohydrates, and fats. First, let's start off with carbohydrate metabolism. Of course, the liver plays a very important role when it comes to blood glucose regulation, also known as blood sugar regulation. So when we eat and our blood sugar increases, a normal functioning liver will take the excess blood sugar and store it in the liver. This form of glucose is called glycogen. And this process of converting glucose into glycogen is called glycogenolysis. Now, during moments of fasting, when our blood sugar is getting low, a normal functioning liver will convert that glycogen back into glucose in order to maintain a safe blood glucose concentration level. This process is called glycogenolysis. And together, this delicate dance of not too high and not too low is called the glucose buffering system. This is something that the body does on its own. The liver specifically does this on its own. So for many people out there who are thinking or were told that they need to manually regulate their blood sugar levels, we should really question that, because we see that this is something that the liver is already designed to do. Another important point to note is that once the liver has met its glucose storing capacity, it will now take that excess glucose and convert it into fat. This fat will now be shipped out to the fat cells. However, if that process is highly demanding and the liver has to move fast, a lot of that fat can also be stored in the liver. Speaking of fat, next we're going to talk about fat metabolism. So we are designed to survive, and a part of that design is having the ability to store excess energy for the times when food is not available. The way our body is going to store this reserve energy, or this long-term energy, is in the form of fat. So the liver will convert any excess energy as fat for long-term storage, preferably in the fat cells, but it can also be stored in the liver. And therefore, the liver is a major site for converting excess carbohydrates and proteins into fatty acids and triglycerides, which are then exported and stored in the adipose tissues, also known as the fat cells. And also it can be stored in the liver, as I said before. And your body is doing all of this to store reserve energy in case that it needs it. Once again, this is a survival mechanism. Something else that's very interesting to note is that at any given moment, your liver is creating 80% of the cholesterol that is found in your body. This is not an accident. It's not a mistake. Your liver is doing this on purpose. And this is going to be a topic that we're going to get into later, but I think it's very important that you understand that 80% of the cholesterol found in the body was made by the liver. Less than 20% actually comes from your diet. Next, protein metabolism. So when we ingest proteins, in order for them to be used, they must be broken down into amino acids. Excess amino acids will be sent to the liver in order to be metabolized. Now, during this process of metabolizing amino acids, a byproduct called ammonia will be produced. And if that level increases too much or too fast, this can be toxic for the body, and it can also result in a hepatic coma and or death. So in order for your body to make sure that this does not happen, the liver is going to create something called urea. And this urea will now remove the ammonia, and it will be excreted through your urine. Next, the liver will convert proteins into different types of proteins that will be called plasma proteins. Now, for the purpose of the video, we won't go in depth about these plasma proteins, but I will briefly talk about the different classes of proteins. First, we have the coagulation protein. These proteins are very important when it comes to healthy clotting. In other words, hemostasis, making sure that blood stops when it needs to stop during a cut or a wound. Vitamin K is very important in this process, so also keep that in mind. The next class of plasma protein we have is transport proteins. These proteins are important in the role of transporting fat or lipids, hormones, vitamins, and minerals. And then we also have copper and iron binding proteins. All right, moving right along. So the next function we're going to talk about is detoxification. So every day we are bombarded with toxins. Now, these toxins can come in the form of food, drink, alcohol, smoking, medications and drugs, air, etc. And every day these toxins are entering our bodies, and many of us are aware of this. But have you ever thought and asked yourself, why are we not dropping dead from these toxins? So, as I said before, our bodies are designed to survive. And it has several different ways to detox. Detox means to get rid of toxins. One of the many ways we are able to do this is via the liver. The liver has an ability to perform a process called xenobiotic metabolism, meaning that it will take foreign and strange particles from the blood that are potentially dangerous and or toxic and convert them into a less toxic form in order for it to be excreted. Something else you should know is that the liver is also responsible for removing hormones such as cortisol, estrogen, and aldosterone. Therefore, any damage that is done to the liver can lead to an accumulation of excess hormones. Men, for us, this is key because an excess or a buildup of estrogen may not be what you want. For men, a sign that you may have excess estrogen is something called gynecomastia. Gynecomastia is also known as man boobs. The next liver function we're going to go over is bowel formation. Now, I want you to picture that you have a pan with water in it. Now, what happens if you were to pour oil into that water? Right, it forms one big globule of oil. And this is because oil and fat are hydrophobic, meaning that it does not mix well with water. Now, what do you do if you actually want to break this oil down? Well, you use detergent. And when you put that detergent in the water, it's now going to break that one big globule up into little small oil particles. Well, when you ingest fat-containing foods, that fat leaves the stomach in large globules, but in order for your body to actually use these, it needs to be broken down into smaller parts. So the liver creates something called bile, which sits in a little sac called the gallbladder. Bile will then act as a detergent to fat and emulsifies fat. Emulsification means to break up into very fine droplets that can be dealt with easier. Now, this will allow for the fat to be converted into fatty acids, and it will also allow for the fat-soluble vitamins inside of the fat, which is vitamin A, D, E, and K, to now be absorbed by the body. So, if you're having problems producing or releasing bile, or you don't have a gallbladder, you're going to have problems with breaking down fat, and you're also going to have problems with absorbing vitamins A, D, E, and K. Therefore, you'll be more likely to be deficient in these vitamins. The next liver function we're going to cover is the storage function. So we talked about the liver's ability to store blood, but that's not all it can store. The liver can store enough vitamin A to last you for 10 months, enough vitamin D to last you for 3 months, enough vitamin B12 to last you for several years. And it can also store iron in the form of ferritin. Therefore, anything that affects the function of the liver can affect the storage of these vitamins, which can result in signs and symptoms of being deficient in that vitamin. The next function of the liver we're going to cover is regeneration. Now, this is going to be very short and simple. So the liver is so important that it actually has the ability to regenerate itself. Just go back and look at all of the functions we have covered this far. Now imagine not being able to do those functions. This is what would happen if the liver was not able to regenerate itself. In fact, it has been shown that you can have 70% of your liver surgically removed and the liver will still regenerate itself. It's pretty crazy. All right, so that was a lot. So we're done covering the first section. We now know just some of the functions of the liver, but you have to know that the liver performs over 500 different functions. Next, let's talk about how the liver can be harmed. In this section, we're going to cover 4 things that are harmful to your liver. The first one we're going to start with is environmental toxins. So like I said before, your liver will detoxify toxins from your body. However, there is a limit to this. And when you place a high demand on your liver, the function will start to decrease. Some of these environmental toxins include xylene, benzene, heavy metals, pesticide, cigarette smoke, and disinfectant byproducts. So with that being said, you want to do your best to stay away from these environmental toxins. Next, infectious organisms. The primary cause of liver inflammation is infectious organisms. Some of these infectious organisms are hepatitis viruses, which hepatitis B and C are the most dangerous to the liver. In addition to that, other chronic conditions such as Lyme disease, aflatoxin, influenza, and mycotoxins can inflame and damage the liver as well. The next harmful substance we're going to cover is alcohol. Alcohol can be disastrous for your liver. Alcohol has to go through the liver's detoxification cycle to get metabolized and to be deactivated in the body. Consistent alcohol consumption damages the liver by causing inflammation, increasing fat in the liver cells, depleting the liver of valuable antioxidants and nutrients such as glutathione, zinc, riboflavin, and more. Drinking too much alcohol causes cirrhosis of the liver over time. The next thing that can cause harm to your liver is a poor diet. Similar to alcohol consumption, a diet high in processed foods containing toxic additives, preservatives, pesticides, GMOs, etc. drains the liver of these valuable antioxidants and nutrients such as glutathione, zinc, riboflavin, and more. Individuals who habitually consume high amounts of alcohol and processed foods are unlikely to replenish these vital nutrients, which will ultimately cause a decrease in liver function, which overall will cause a decrease in your health. All right, so we covered the functions of the liver, we covered what causes harm to a liver, Now, what can we do to maintain or improve the health of our liver? Let's get into it. So the first thing you want to do is consume foods that are good for your liver. Adopting a healthy lifestyle and making some dietary changes can significantly improve the health of your liver. Therefore, you want to skip all of those foods that are bad for your liver, such as processed foods, refined foods, and some other food sensitivities such as gluten, peanuts, soy, dairy, and corn. Instead, add foods that are going to actually improve the health of your liver. The best foods for your liver are the ones that are going to be rich in vitamin B, C, and also trace minerals. Just a short list of some of the foods that are going to be good for your liver are going to be foods like grapefruit, nuts, fatty fish, avocados, avocado oil, olive oil, ginger, non-starchy vegetables, grapes, beets, and also green tea. Next, certified organic products. So if you're already experiencing liver complications, then I recommend using only certified organic, chemical-free products. These include your food choices, personal hygiene products, even household cleaning agents. This will be the best way of reducing your exposure to environmental toxins. Next, you want to adopt a detoxification lifestyle. A detoxification lifestyle is one that involves reducing toxic pressure and at the same time enhancing your antioxidant intake, your vitamin intake, and your mineral intake. In addition to that, you also want to use herbs that will assist your liver in the detoxification process, such as milk thistle, dandelion root, and beetroot. Also, look at implementing detoxification techniques. Now, there are multiple techniques that people use to detox, such as Epsom salt baths, oil pulling, coffee enemas, dry brushing, water flushing. However, the main technique that I recommend for detoxing your liver is intermittent fasting. You already know this. Fasting is my gospel. Now, just think about everything the liver does. It's a lot of work, and it's always working if we're always eating. It is not until we actually stop the eating and we give the body time to actually repair itself, heal itself, and to actually detoxify itself. Intermittent fasting will allow the liver to actually release the fat from the hepatocytes, which ideally it does not want it there. Remember, anything that decreases the fat in your liver is going to also increase the function of the liver. Therefore, intermittent fasting is my #1 recommendation for detoxing the liver. Now, whichever detox process you choose, you want to make sure that you're eating a healthy diet. It doesn't make much sense to choose a technique that's going to help pull out the toxins in your liver while also adding in more toxins to your body. It becomes a game of tug of war that you're not going to win. Next, you want to exercise regularly. So, developing a habit of regular exercise can help in reducing liver fat. So, whenever you reduce liver fat, once again, increases the liver's ability to properly function. Apart from maintaining a healthy liver, regular exercise also promotes overall health. The next thing you want to do when it comes to improving and/or maintaining the health of your liver is decrease the alcohol consumption, preferably cut out the alcohol consumption. Alcohol is known to cause serious health complications to your body, but specifically your liver. It can actually destroy the liver cells and scar the liver tissue. Try skipping alcohol if possible. If you cannot skip drinking alcohol, consult with your doctor to discuss the current status of your liver and to also get his or her assistance in moving forward with health improvement. All right, lastly, when it comes to improving and/or maintaining the health of your liver, this topic that I'm going to briefly go over is one that's going to have its own complete video and/or series because it's that important. And that is the consumption of high fructose corn syrup. I know there's a lot of ads and campaigns talking about high fructose corn syrup being okay and not being a danger for the overall health or specifically the liver, but it is. It absolutely is. And this is such a problem that is specifically affecting younger kids. We're talking about kids from the ages of 2 on up who are consuming juice, soda, candy, and cereal that contains high fructose corn syrup. What you have to understand is that the liver is the only organ in the body that can metabolize fructose. So fructose coming from fruits are not a problem because that whole fruit is a whole food, which comes equipped with fiber, enzymes, vitamins, and minerals. Therefore, the metabolism of that fructose is going to be something very gradual. It's going to be something that the body's used to. However, when it comes to soda, juice, candy, and cereals, when this enters the body, it's going to burden the body with that fructose, and the liver is going to have to process that fructose so fast that much of that fructose is going to be stored as fat in the liver cells, the hepatocyte, which it doesn't belong. This is also known as fatty liver, which is going to be our next topic that we're going to cover. So once again, high fructose corn syrup deserves its own video and or video series, and I will definitely be doing that very soon. But overall, if you want to make sure that you are improving and or maintaining a healthy liver, cut out the high fructose corn syrup and do your children, your nieces and nephews a favor by also decreasing and or preferably cutting out the high fructose corn syrup in their life as well. All right, so in conclusion, to answer our initial question of what is the function and purpose of the liver, well, now we know the answer. So just a quick recap. We now know that the liver is the largest solid organ in the body and is responsible for performing various functions. It acts as a storage house for vitamins, minerals, it removes toxins in the body, it filters the blood, helps develop strong immunity, supports blood clotting, and performs plenty of other functions. Therefore, it is essential that we do whatever we can to make sure the liver is working efficiently, meaning that we should make sure we improve the health of our liver. And this is why adopting a healthy lifestyle is essential when it comes to maintaining the health of your liver and or improving the health of your liver. All right, so question of the day. What was the most interesting thing that you learned while watching this video? That's question number one. Question number two, what is one thing you're going to do to improve and or maintain the health of your liver? Now, I know for me, one of the most interesting things that I learned while making this video was the liver's ability to regenerate itself. So I was already aware that the liver can regenerate itself, but I had no idea that you can remove 70% of the liver and it would actually regenerate itself. That's crazy. Next, as far as what I'm going to do or what I can do to improve my liver function would be the products that I use on my skin. I used to, in the past, I was pretty cautious about what I was using on my skin. But I would say now that I've gotten busy and, everything going on, I now just use lotion. So that's definitely something I can work on as far as trying to decrease the amount of toxins that I'm taking in my body, probably also my body wash. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do for myself. Now, if you want to learn about how we at H-BAMN could possibly help you in the process of improving the health of your liver, be sure to check out our liver support supplement by clicking on the link below. In addition to that, please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and also share this video to your family members so that they can also learn the purpose and the function of their liver. All right, everyone, this is your brother, Edward Williams, signing off. And remember, this is our community, this is our responsibility. We have what it takes. We just got to put in the work. All right? Peace.